Chapter 70. A group of level 3. I want to fight 10 of them. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 70. A group of 3rd level warriors. I'll beat them. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Several waves of light shot out and hit Su Ming directly from behind. That's right, a sneak attack, the arrows of the ranger, the light waves of the mage, and the sword light of the warrior. The 5 colors were full of murderous aura. Su Ming's eyes were cold and he didn't even look back. He knew that if he looked back, he would not have time to avoid it. He looked down at the ground. In an instant, he used the reflection of the ice surface underground to determine where those attacks came. From behind him, he dodged suddenly with a light step. His light steps were like strolling in the garden, and he moved sideways for more than 10 meters in an instant. All the attacks were avoided. It hit the diamond treasure chest. Fortunately, the treasure chest was sturdy and there was no scratch at all. If a person stood there, he would have been beaten into a hornet's nest. Su Ming sighed slightly. He was still a step slower. He wanted to take the treasure chest and run away quickly, away from this dangerous place. He turned around and looked. With murderous intent in his eyes, he saw several teams of people rushing over. They surrounded Su Ming. There were about several people in total, at least 5 teams. They all had a malicious smile on their faces. Su Ming's eyes flashed a bit of solemnity. He didn't expect that they would come just when he opened the treasure chest. Fortunately, this group of people didn't appear when he was fighting with the double sword corpse. Otherwise, he would be attacked by humans and monsters, and it would be difficult to deal with them later. It was possible. They had actually been lying in ambush. It was just that they had not shown up, and chose to wait until he killed the monster guarding the treasure chest, and then came out to reap the benefits. How shameless. Su Ming's current physical strength had already been consumed a lot. After all, he had just used the Hidden God Step. For legendary skills like Hidden God Step and Killing God Sword, no matter how high Su Ming's spiritual attribute points were, it would be useless, and most of his physical strength would be drained after using them, as long as the level was not enough and the overall attribute did not reach the required value. Forcibly crossing the border to perform skills would consume a lot of energy. These 2 skills were like a bottomless pit. Su Ming exhaled deeply, and he knew that there would be a big battle. Su Ming slowly put his hand on the dragon-broken sword. He had no intention of retreating, even when facing so many people. Brother swordsman, you have fought too hard. Let us help you collect the goods. Oh, look at this treasure chest, how heavy it is. You don't have enough physical strength, you must not be able to move it. Brother, retreat first, we will help you deal with it. They smiled lightly. All of them looked at Su Ming with ill intentions, with a gleam in their eyes. These people were tall and thin, male and female, handsome and ugly, but there was a common look in their eyes, greed. The desire of all people. Their eyes flashed with brilliance, as if they could not wait to force Su Ming away and seize the treasure chest, but they did not attack immediately, but advised Su Ming to give up on his own. They also wanted to avoid fighting as much as possible. After all, Su Ming was a strange man to them. His strength was completely hidden. They did not know that Su Ming was only at the 3rd level. And none of the members of these teams had a cultivation level lower than the 3rd level. After all, only masters above the 3rd level dared to set foot in the D-level dungeon. They regarded Su Ming as a very difficult person to mess with. Little did they know that Su Ming's level was much lower than theirs. Su Ming's eyes were cold, and he did not look like he was going to leave. He just stared at the crowd with cold eyes. Are you sure you want to steal my things? Su Ming asked. Hearing this, the crowd just smiled indifferently. Brother swordsman, your strength is indeed very strong, and we have seen it. But there are so many people here, even if you grow 8 hands, you can't beat them. A woman in red stepped forward and sneered. Another short man with a thin figure and a very sharp voice also stepped forward and said, that red-eyed skeleton killed so many monsters, but you were able to kill it alone, which is enough to prove your strength. A fierce person like you, even if surrounded by several of us, you can definitely replace one before you die. And none of us want to be the unlucky one. The words of the people were full of fear of Su Ming. The sneak attack they just made was easily avoided by Su Ming, which means that Su Ming was not completely out of ammunition and food, and still had some physical strength and the strength to fight. That's why we didn't do anything. We advised you to leave, and it's for your own good. The woman in red stepped forward and said earnestly. After all, you know. Even if you can replace one before you die, it doesn't mean you can survive. Once the fight starts, our chance of death is 1/6. And you, 100%. So we will bet without hesitation, that she stepped forward, and her whole body burst into pressure. The red clothes were dazzling. She was a level 34 flame boxer with very exaggerated attributes and a large number of skills. Su Ming remained silent and looked around. This group of people suddenly got the idea and gathered into a bandit group, surrounding him and wanting to kill him and steal his treasure. Their nature is really naked. In the dungeon, killing people is not illegal, so this kind of thing is very common. Su Ming has really seen a lot. This group of people are basically above level 32. Each person has very high attributes. Each profession and skill is different. Fighting against such multiple enemies with different characteristics is the most dangerous. Su Ming knows very well. It is impossible for him to defeat and kill all these people alone, but killing his way out, it is not impossible. A fierce light flashed in Su Ming's eyes, and he took out a pot of wine directly. Seeing this pot of wine, the eyes of the people were stern. Could it be some secret medicine that can temporarily improve cultivation? Everyone, young man. It seems that he is going to fight to the death with us. That the atmosphere was instantly tense. At this time, a man in a black robe suddenly appeared in the crowd, his eyes slightly startled. He looked at Su Ming with shock. Wait, everyone. I found that this guy is only level 24. That his words immediately aroused everyone's surprise. This man's profession is a treasure hunter, and he can also detect the enemy's profession and level information, so he found out Su Ming's level. When this was said, everyone was stunned at first. Afterwards, several people immediately burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, I wondered what kind of expert he was, so brave, but he turned out to be a fool. He's only level 24, so weak, but he can break into the D-level dungeon. That's new. It seems he was just bluffing. Maybe even when he killed the elite monster alone, he used some secret medicine that temporarily improved its attributes. This new monster can be crushed to death with just a wave of your hand. Several people sneered and attacked Su Ming. Su Ming's eyes were always indifferent. He drank a bottle of wine in one gulp. Drunkenness surged into his head. The same happened to his sword energy. Warm tips. If you find that clicking the next page will force you to jump to other websites, please use the chapter error or contact us at the bottom to let us know. We will handle it as soon as possible. Thank you for your understanding. Chapter 71 Trembling because of the sword energy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The flame boxer, a woman in red, named Shuhong. She had a red brass knuckle on each hand, made of a special material that looked like flowing flames. As soon as her hands shook, flames entangled her fists and completely enveloped them. She was the first to move. The fists with flowing flames swept up a red shadow and smashed towards Su Ming. At first, when she was in ambush, she saw the scene of Su Ming killing the double-sword skeleton alone, so she was full of fear of Su Ming just now. But when she learned that Su Ming's level was 24, all her worries disappeared. She resolutely chose to punch hard. The battle between Su Ming and the double-sword skeleton looked fierce, but maybe the skeleton was not actually strong. Maybe it was just a big show. Levels can be faked, it takes a treasure hunter to detect, and basically nothing can be found. Equipment with hidden information is very rare and precious, and people with the third level can easily take it out. So she basically thinks that this is Su Ming's real level. With such a low level, she is naturally confident that she can easily crush him. At the age of more than 10 years old, she has reached the third level. She is also very talented, so she naturally has her own confidence and pride, so she is not afraid at all. Behind her, there are several job changers who join hands with her. Among these people, there are burly warriors and swordsmen who use knives. There is also an enchanter. When he raised his hand and clenched it, different element attributes were attached to everyone's weapons. These people all have the same idea as Shuhong. The burning thirst for the treasure chest made them eager to kill Su Ming and share the spoils. Moreover, killing players can also get a little experience and loot. Definitely more than killing wild monsters. There are so many people here, and the things in the diamond treasure chest must be enough to share. So killing Su Ming now and getting some experience points is also a great extra gain. At other times, you will definitely find such a good opportunity to kill people, everyone wants to miss it. Su Ming looked at this scene with a blank expression. He did not avoid it, but raised his head again and took a sip of wine. He drank the wine in the pot completely, he savored the drunkenness in his heart. At this moment, the world seemed to slow down in his eyes, everyone's movements became clearly visible, the power of Su Ming's swordsmanship rose rapidly at this moment. He hadn't taken out the sword yet, but he could clearly feel it. He bowed slightly, holding the dragon-inlaid broken sword at his waist. He felt the hilt trembling violently. Kakaka, the sword at his waist was shaking wildly, and even Su Ming's hands were shaking violently, as if he couldn't control the sword. As if the sword was about to break free from the scabbard and break away. Looking at this scene, everyone sneered. What are you doing? You are actually avoiding it. Boy, are you so scared that your hands are shaking? Brother, hold the sword firmly, or give up the treasure to save your life, that they said, but they didn't stop at all, they didn't let Su Ming go at all. All the attacks came from all directions in an instant, surrounding Su Ming. The attack had not hit the target yet, but at this moment, the ice under Su Ming's feet had already begun to crack. This was the super thousand-year-old glacier in the dungeon, with a very deep thickness. There were countless skeletons and dead souls frozen inside, suppressing them so that they could not move. You can imagine how solid this ice is. The fact that it could be cracked was enough to show how terrifying their attack pressure was. Su Ming even felt a sense of breath stagnation. This was a precursor to a death attack, a spontaneous reaction of the body. The hairs all over his body stood up slightly. After all, they were a large group of third-level masters. Su Ming was hit by any attack. He was a typical professional with high attack and fragile skin. Even if his swordsmanship was powerful, Su Ming was indeed too good at defense, but he was extremely calm in his heart. He always believed that attack was the best defense. If you hold on, you have to bear every blow. Can you do it? Su Ming crazily points to the agility attribute for today. Besides, why are your hands shaking? Everyone guessed wrong. It's because of fear, it's because of the sword energy. At this moment, you are full of intoxication, and there is already a majestic sword energy flowing on the blade, hidden in the sheath, waiting for a strike to kill. In order to brew this blow to the most perfect degree, Su Ming has been suppressing it forcefully. Contain all the sword energy in it. And this is also the strongest release method of drawing the sword and slashing. After accumulating, it can reach the most terrifying power. Su Ming has never used the sword drawing and slashing after accumulating, because there is no enemy at all. Let him activate it. Today, I finally encountered a good opportunity. Su Ming's eyes were cold and expressionless, his hands were shaking more and more violently. At the same time, everyone's attack came in front of him. They were already 1 meter away from Su Ming's body. Especially Zhuo Shuhong's flaming fists, which had almost hit the position in front of Su Ming. Su Ming's hair was burned to ashes by the scorching fist wind. But he never moved, he was so calm that it was scary. Even when he was surrounded by people, his eyes were always calm. He had more combat experience than everyone else on the scene combined, so he could always make the best judgment and not be shaken by emotions. Until Zhuo Shuhong's fist came to an inch in front of Su Ming, until the double-axe warrior's rotating flying axe flew to 1 meter in front of Su Ming's forehead. Until everyone's attacks were all close to Su Ming. A few moments later, Su Ming was about to be beaten to death on the spot. He finally moved. Boom! The terrifying electric current flowed from his sword blade. The moment he pulled out the broken dragon sword, the dragon sword blade in the scabbard behind him also flew over and fit on the broken sword, condensing into a complete long sword, the complete state of the broken dragon sword. Its sharpness is invincible, enough to cut all platinum-level weapons. The brilliant blue electric current exploded. The electric current was wrapped with blood-red electric light and the golden flame of the broken dragon sword, the 3 colors mixed together, looking so terrifying. Boom 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 boom. Thunder flashed and exploded. Su Ming's whole body was slashed horizontally in an instant. The long sword mark appeared in the air. Or it could be said that it was a physical sword energy. It was like a half-moon shape, slashing obliquely. It instantly crossed the spot and flew more than 10 meters. This sword energy went forward and directly penetrated the bodies of several people. It chopped off half of Zhuo Shuhong's body, in her eyes, she still maintained the joy of success in the last second. In an instant, she was completely dumbfounded, her whole body was cut open by Su Ming at an angle, the dazzling thunder sword energy directly injured her severely, her eyes were stunned, full of disbelief. The intense pain shattered her confidence in this instant, and, her life value instantly returned to 0. Chapter 72 Sword Killing 3rd Level, Promotion 26. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 72 Sword Kills Zhuo Zhuan, promoted to level 26. In Zhuo Shuhong's eyes, the opportunity quickly passed. I didn't lose, I turned. I won't die. She was stunned and murmured, but soon, her soft body fell on the ground, the bright red blood dyed the ground red, she was directly killed by a sword. She was killed on the spot, swish. The sound of the sword resounded throughout the area of 100 meters, Su Ming's sword was too terrifying, he didn't stop even after killing Zhuo Shuhong, the whole person was wrapped in sword energy and rushed dozens of meters all the way, in the air. The thunder sword energy was mixed with colors, and it took several seconds to dissipate. A long melting gully appeared on the ice surface on the ground. The edge of the long ravine was full of burnt black electric marks from the black arc. All those who stood in front of Su Ming and attacked him were hit by this sword. This sword killed at least 6 people. Blood was gushing into the sky. Looking at this scene, the eyes of all the people around were shocked to the extreme. This sword directly killed 2 people. Zhuo Shuhong and the enchanter in the distance were killed instantly by this sword. The 2 people had dazed eyes and died with their eyes open, the bodies fell to the ground, the whole body was completely chopped apart, all the defensive equipment was vulnerable. The situation of the few people who survived was not optimistic. The wounds were visible to the bones where the sword energy came into contact, and blood was gushing wildly. This is the terrifying power of the sword energy, which can penetrate many defenses. The berserker coughed up a large mouthful of blood and was chopped back by this sword. The sword energy penetrated his chest and chopped his lungs. He was the strongest and most powerful meat shield among the group. Facing Su Ming's sword, he was also seriously injured. The swordsman who rushed towards Su Ming just now was cut off with his belt knife. His upper body and lower body were directly separated. Fortunately, he had a life-saving equipment and a barrier, otherwise he would have died. He immediately took out a bottle of expensive instant healing potion and healed his wounds, so he did not die, otherwise, his life value would be instantly reduced to 0. There were also several people who attacked Su Ming, all of whom were seriously injured to varying degrees. There were only about 6 people who came out, and there were still 10 people who did not come out. At this moment, those people knew. It turned out that they were the ones who were foolish. The truly calm people have been watching coldly. The berserker had an ugly face and turned his head to look at the treasure hunter who claimed that Su Ming was only level 24. Damn treasure hunter, you lied to us. How can his swordsmanship only be at the 2nd level? That the swordsman's eyes were extremely gloomy, and he stared at the treasure hunter fiercely. You dared to trick us out. I will kill you. The double-axe warrior was so angry that he trembled all over, and walked slowly towards the treasure hunter. He looked like he was going to hammer him to death. The treasure hunter looked at this scene and felt his scalp tingling. I didn't lie to you. This player's name is Killer God, and it should be replaced by some title. My skill level is not high, I can only see the level, and I can't see his profession and specific information. I really didn't lie, that he explained quickly. He is a professional with little combat power. If he is targeted by everyone, he will definitely die miserably. No way. If he is only level 24, what is the power of this sword skill? You definitely lied to us. You just want to trick us out. That the treasure hunter wanted to cry but had no tears, so he just stretched out a trembling hand. Brothers, let me clarify one thing. Now, this guy has reached level 26. That as soon as this was said, the whole audience was in an uproar. Su Ming was besieged by everyone, but he actually leveled up. Because he killed 2 first-level players, gained super rich experience points. So he leveled up twice in a row. This is true. What the hell is this bullshit? Is it really like you said? a second-level player who drank a few sips of wine and became so powerful. Anyway, you are a suspect, kill me first. That the swordsman's eyes were cold, and he drew his sword directly. His injuries had just healed, and he slashed with a sword in extreme anger. He killed the treasure hunter directly and cut off his head. The move was indeed decisive. Treasure hunters are purely auxiliary professions with very weak combat power. Moreover, this guy was unlucky and happened to not carry any life-saving equipment, so he died completely. After killing the treasure hunter, the people who were seriously injured by Su Ming all spit on his body. Bad luck. If I had known, I would not have listened to this treasure hunter. He definitely lied to us. Several people said fiercely, while pouring healing potions into their mouths, the dead have no mouths, and the treasure hunter can't quibble. Su Ming looked at everyone, his body shaking slightly. Internal strife, that he looked relaxed and said with a smile. His steps were a little frivolous. It seemed that he was really drunk. His wine was a golden low-grade liquor purchased with advent coins, and the alcohol content was super high. One sip would instantly make a normal man numb. A job changer like Su Ming had a high physical attribute, and ordinary wine could not anesthetize him, but Su Ming drank a whole gourd of this super strong liquor, so he instantly entered a slightly drunk state. This was enough to quickly trigger the drunken sword skill. The rest of the people who had not yet come out looked at this scene in horror and shock. This person is really a bit too strong. This strength is probably the peak of the first job, almost the fourth job. One sword kills 2 first jobs and severely injures 4 first jobs. I can't do this strength. Immediately, their faces showed a solemn look. Everyone, be careful when you go out. All of us, don't underestimate him anymore. Let's go out together, kill him completely, and don't give him any chance. Everyone said in a concentrated voice. Everyone frowned, their eyes full of great fear. They looked at Su Ming with a completely new look. Although Su Ming was very strong, the temptation of the diamond treasure chest was too strong, and no one was willing to give up at this time. Everyone suddenly attacked Su Ming. A dozen people turned high and went out at once. The few people who were severely injured by Su Ming also recovered their strength and attacked Su Ming. They wanted to get back their place. This time they learned their lesson and used the fastest moves, just to give Su Ming no chance to accumulate power. No matter how powerful Su Ming's sword was, they all believed that Su Ming could not use it many times in a short period of time. This was indeed true. If he was not given time to accumulate power, Su Ming's sword would not be able to kill with one strike, and at this moment, a large number of attacks had already engulfed him. He no longer attacked, but defended. So Su Ming chose to use the swift wind and rain kill. The violent sword shadow swept through his body, forming a close sword flow in front of him. Most of the attacks were defended. At the same time, countless sword chi flew out. Under the drunken sword stance, all sword techniques have the opportunity to attach sword chi, greatly increasing their power. Chapter 73: A Turning Point in a Desperate Situation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The sword light flashed like raindrops, defending against many attacks, but Su Ming still retreated step by step. There was no way. There were too many enemies. The crowd gradually stepped forward and surrounded him. Give up. If you leave now and give up the treasure chest, we may be able to spare your life. Friend, don't hold on, there are so many of us, you can't win. The people scolded. They didn't understand why Su Ming was so persistent. Since you are looking for death, you can't blame us. The people sneered and said sarcastically. Looking at this scene, Su Ming seemed to remember the past. In his previous life, he was on the edge of the dead cave and was forced to death by Zhang Tang and Ren Xiaoman. The scene came to his mind again. Humans are greedy in their bones. In an unrestrained area like the dead cave, they will immediately become extremely cruel. Everyone's attack was extremely fierce. A large group of third-level masters, with extremely high cultivation. Su Ming crossed the border to fight and frantically resisted the attack. The blade in his hand was almost at its peak. At the same time, he activated his spiritual blade. The black sword in the scabbard behind him flew out of the scabbard, suspended and cut the enemy. With his left hand clenched, the shadow long sword was pulled out from the shadow and fell on his left hand. Su Ming activated the sword technique with both hands at the same time. With the mastery of the two swords, he could activate the gust of wind and rain with both hands at the same time. The frantic sword shadows danced in front of him, the mist in the air was chopped into powder by him, the sword energy was crisscrossed and slashed out crazily, many people were injured by the sword energy. At the same time, Su Ming also took out the black and white swords in his personal space. The sword control technique was activated, and the enemy was slashed crazily. It would be too consuming to forcibly control multiple weapons at the same time. Su Ming's physical strength seemed to be burning rapidly. Everyone was gradually injured, they gritted their teeth and looked at Su Ming with eyes full of disbelief and anger. They didn't expect that Su Ming would resist so stubbornly. Offensive swordsmanship, while attacking, defend, this is really going to fight them to the death. It seems that before Su Ming dies, he can not only replace one, but even several. But now that things have come to this, there is no possibility of any negotiation. Everyone attacked Su Ming with all their might. Puff. Swish. Wounds gradually began to appear on Su Ming's body, the skill penetrated his sword circle and hit him. The enemy's attack was too dense, and soon, an offensive appeared to hit Su Ming. Su Ming used the Longguo microstep to dodge while activating the Jifeng Chusha defense, trying his best to hold on, but the second turn is the limit after all. Su Ming's health value dropped directly to 50%. At the same time, he was at the edge of the treasure chest area. Retreating another 10 meters, he had to leave the area where he could pick up the treasure chest. Su Ming didn't want to give up this treasure chest. This was the reward he deserved for killing the elite monster. These people were so shameless. Su Ming's anger surged in his heart, a terrifying murderous intent appeared in his eyes. Everyone was shocked. Look at this look, he should be at the end of his strength. Everyone, give him the last blow. That the intensity of everyone's attacks suddenly increased. Su Ming was defeated. At the same time, he could even feel that the invisible force under his feet began to slow down his movements. In the crowd, there was a confinement mage. This is an auxiliary combat skill, mud foot technique, it can make people unable to move. Su Ming's Longguo microstep speed suddenly slowed down, then, another dark red chain emerged from midair. Confinement chain. It flashed with the light of magic and wrapped around Su Ming's arms, trying to confine him tightly. Su Ming's sword-swinging speed suddenly slowed down. In order to save his life, Su Ming could immediately turn back the spiritual blade and the black-edged sword for defense. After all, there were too many people, and the attacks were numerous and complex, surrounding them from all sides. Su Ming could only passively defend. Now his physical strength is seriously insufficient. Fortunately, there are still 20 attribute points left. I just leveled up twice and got free attributes. I have to admit that killing players does give me a lot of experience. It's more experience than killing that third-level skeleton monster. Su Ming leveled up to level 26 directly. He immediately added these attributes to his mental strength. He recovered some physical strength. This way, he could have a few more skills and increase his chance of survival. At the same time, Su Ming's proficiency in drawing the sword and slashing was improved. Drawing the sword and slashing proficiency plus 21,187, promoted to gold top grade. Drawing the sword and killing, gold top grade. This time, I added a lot of proficiency, directly upgrading from gold lower grade to gold top grade, because the increase in the proficiency of a skill is actually related to how many enemies you kill with this skill. Su Ming just drew the sword and slashed, hitting many people, and they were all third level. This skill can kill enemies across borders and cause high critical damage, so the proficiency gained will naturally be higher. In addition, Thunder Flow Sword Slash is upgraded to the upper grade of gold, because Su Ming's sword drawing and slashing just now was mixed with Thunder Flow Sword Slash. The power was so fierce. Thunderbolt Sword, golden top grade. Su Ming's combat power has been greatly improved. His face was cold, he gritted his teeth and swung his sword frantically. The gust of wind and rain killed, and suddenly his realm was raised again. Rainy Phoenix Sword, platinum lower grade. Suddenly, his sword power became more frantic, and the sword energy was like dense and violent raindrops. The half-moon-shaped pale white smoke sword energy swept out from the field. Many people were injured to varying degrees. The sword energy was too penetrating. The drunken sword skill was very powerful, allowing Su Ming's combat power to surge in a short period of time. Su Ming checked his attributes while fighting. Su Ming, title, God of Killing, effective titles, First Blood, Newcomer King. Level 26, 15 / 26,000 experience. Profession, Sword God, mythical level, the only one in the world. Strength, 80. Constitution, 80. Agility, 240. Spirit, 170. Luck, 160. Bloodline, immortal body. Self-healing factor, C. Talent. Sublimation of all things, source sword body, automatic cultivation. Skills, God of killing, full hide, hidden God step, insightful eye. Dual sword mastery, drunken sword style, holy weapon enchantment, thunderbolt sword, sword draw and kill, crazy rain broken phoenix sword, sword master, sword control, skyfall sword tomb, spiritual sword, light footsteps, just recovered 20 points of mental power. But it is really a drop in the bucket. Su Ming estimated that he really couldn't hold on. He had to save the last bit of mental strength to escape. He was unwilling to do so. But life is always the most important. A trace of anger emerged in his heart, and he remembered the faces of all the people firmly. In the future, he would take revenge on them one by one. Just when Su Ming was desperate and was about to give up the treasure chest and run away, his eyes suddenly became cold. He saw a vague figure appearing behind him, a few hundred meters away. It was so vague that if it weren't for his insightful eyes, Su Ming couldn't see it. The next moment, a dim gray light appeared inexplicably, surrounding Su Ming's whole body. It was like half of the rain. Surrounding him, his body suddenly became invisible, and his breath disappeared. Su Ming's eyes were slightly shocked. This is the invisible transmission technique. It can make the target invisible and teleport away at the same time. It is a high-level skill that consumes a lot of energy and is very rare. People must protect themselves. Chapter 74 Internal Strife. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Su Ming became invisible, everyone lost their target. He was able to catch his breath. In fact, Su Ming's hidden God step can also be invisible, and the effect is stronger. Not only can it be invisible, but it can also avoid all attacks. If you want to escape from the battlefield, Su Ming also has a way. However, the hidden God step skill only takes a moment to use, and the spirit will be exhausted, so Su Ming is always unwilling to use it to escape. He is unwilling to give up the treasure chest. That's why he insists on fighting. Damn, this guy disappeared. Some people looked around and attacked frantically with large-scale attacks, but they didn't hit Su Ming. Su Ming was covered by the invisibility spell, and he was still moving at the same time, and he disappeared from everyone's sight in an instant. Is this invisibility a skill or a magic weapon? This guy is too hard to kill. Or, does this guy have an accomplice? Forget it, leave him alone. Let's grab the box first. We should have gotten away with him. Brothers, do your own thing. Now, there is no obstacle. Someone in the dark laughed coldly. In fact, he had already fished in troubled waters and ran to the treasure chest behind while the battlefield was in chaos. Someone has already started to bombard the ice with skills to dig out the treasure chest. Damn it, while we were killing that swordsman, he sneaked over to grab the treasure in advance. Someone took action and started a chaotic attack. The scene suddenly became a mess. Colorful skills, surging, everyone actually killed each other. Many people were seriously injured. Everyone, calm down. Someone realized that if this continued, there would be a large-scale melee and many people would die. But the scene was so chaotic that no one listened to the advice. The temptation of the diamond treasure chest was too strong. Internal fighting was almost an inevitable outcome. Everyone used all their strength to start slaughtering each other. For the treasure chest, they would do anything. 1 second they shared the same hatred for the enemy, and the next second they would kill each other. Su Ming stood invisible at the limit distance to pick up the treasure chest. Looking at the scene with gloomy eyes, he felt that he would be teleported away by this invisible transmission technique and leave the battlefield in the next moment. Treasure chest, do you really have to give it to me? He clenched his fists, unwilling to do so. Suddenly, his eyes lit up, and he suddenly took out a scroll from his personal space. By the way, the treasure map holder has absolute priority in picking up any treasure chest. Although they are also standing in the picking range of the treasure chest, they can't compete with me without the treasure map. As long as they are standing in the area, I can have the highest picking priority. Su Ming was besieged by many people just now, and he had no chance to take out the treasure map. Now, under the protection of invisibility, he can finally use this treasure map to forcibly pick up the treasure chest. He took out the treasure map directly and pinched it. Suddenly, the treasure map turned into a blue light and dissipated. The blue light, like a star, shot out and shattered the ice surface of the treasure chest. The next moment, a blue light flashed across the treasure chest. Detect that you have arrived at the treasure map location. Do you want to pick up the treasure chest? Su Ming clicked, yes, without hesitation. The next moment, the treasure chest disappeared out of thin air, directly entered Su Ming's personal space. At the same time, he also teleported away. Only the people on the battlefield were left with a confused look on their faces. Everyone was in the melee, unable to take care of themselves, but at the same time, everyone's peripheral vision was fixed on the treasure chest from beginning to end. So the moment the treasure chest disappeared, the scene naturally froze. Many people stopped fighting. What's going on? Why did the treasure chest disappear? This is impossible. I've been staring at it. No breath approached. The berserker looked ugly and shocked. I set up a formation near the treasure chest. No one can get close. Who picked it up? A mage said. Stand up. Who is it? All the job changers roared angrily at this moment. They began to doubt everyone standing next to them. At this moment, everyone was an angry Shura, and they slaughtered their compatriots mercilessly. Even the people in the same team began to fight angrily, because at this moment, the person standing next to you may be the one who secretly took the treasure chest. Everyone raised their weapons in anger and attacked each other, and Su Ming had already fled far away. Suddenly, there was a loud voice in the crowd. Everyone, stop. It should be someone who has a treasure map, and he picked it up with the treasure map. As soon as these words came out, some rationality flashed in everyone's eyes. Yes, the treasure map has the highest priority for picking up. Hiss. What you said is true. The picking distance of the treasure map is much farther than ours. Damn, who is it? The rationality in everyone's eyes only flashed for a moment, then, it turned into greedy murderous intent in an instant. They looked around, with cold light flashing in their eyes, as if they wanted to search the crowd to find out who took the treasure chest. The fight continued. Maybe it was the swordsman who killed the god. When he was escaping, he picked it up with the treasure map. But it's also possible that he's among us before he leaves. Or maybe the holder of the treasure chest is among us now. No matter what, we must kill until someone moves to hand over the treasure box. Kill. The scene was noisy, and everyone took action. After the day, less than half of the people in the audience were left alive. Su Ming was teleported to a location nearly 100 meters away by the teleportation technique. Inside this villa, the white mist is extremely thick, blocking people's sight. 50 meters away, you can't see anything. Therefore, after Su Ming escaped, Ji was safe. He also immediately urged Longguo to take small steps and escape quickly. Away from the battlefield of that gang, looking back, they were still fighting among themselves. Loud noises and tragedies continued to be heard. Su Ming's face was cold and he said in a condensed voice. Very good, keep fighting. Even if only half of you are left, I will avenge you one by one in the future. He clenched his fists and put away all his swords. He has memorized the appearance of everyone here. At the same time, his heart was filled with expectations for the diamond treasure chest. More curious, in the end, who saved himself. Su Ming ran for several miles. Finally, I saw a young man beside a cold ice lake. He has messy short hair and wears a light blue gown. In his right hand, he holds a long ebony staff. The quality will not be low. Su Ming immediately scanned his information. Yumian, race, half-elf, level 37, 0 //300 experience points, occupation, hidden mist, quantity, 47, physique, 50, agility, 27, spirit, 363, lucky, 82, talent, magic affinity. He has half the blood of the elves in his body. so he is born with superior intelligence and has a strong affinity with magic, skills, hidden teleportation, Tianjiang heavy rain, liquid condensation and ice, falling waterfall, rain barrier, appearance disguise, it turned out to be a half-elf. Chapter 75 Open the Diamond Treasure Chest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It turned out to be a half-elf. Is the child of humans and elves, not accepted by human society, not accepted by the elves, and considered to have dirty blood, but this man is very smart, learned the art of camouflage and hid the pointed ears of the half-elf. In this way, we can exist freely in human society, except for people like Su Ming who have insightful eyes and can detect all information without reason. It is difficult for other people to see through the true race, no wonder can use teleportation. This is a skill that can only be learned after transferring, since as a half-elf, can transform into an exceptional person. The skill trees of each race are different. Compared with humans, the elves have a much better ability to learn skills such as magic. Moreover, the spiritual power of elves is higher than the upper limit of human beings. When a human first awakens, the upper limit of mental attributes is 10 points. Elf clan is 20 points. From this point, we can see the magical talent of elves. Why did you save me? Su Ming stared at and asked calmly. Yumian slowly turned his head and looked at Su Ming. Stretch out a hand. My name is Yumian. The voice is very pleasant and has a deep voice. This is the advantage of the elves. As long as you have elf blood flowing in your body, you will naturally not look ugly. Any elf's appearance is at the top of human aesthetics. However, this half-elf player named Yumian is not as elegant and noble as people's stereotyped elves. On the contrary, he is full of decadent temperament. He is unshaven and his hair is messy. There were stains all over the mage's robe. If you get closer, you can even smell it. This guy has a faint smell of alcohol. The god of death. Su Ming shook hands with and said each other's names. Once you know the name of the other party, you can communicate with each other remotely. Su Ming replaced it with a title, had the same effect. Killing God. That title is a bit creepy. Said with a slight smile. I know that Su Ming is the reported title, is not his real name. Then, S face turned serious, stared at Su Ming, his eyes flashing, and said. I saved you, for no other reason. A few of my friends died in the hands of that elite double-sword skeleton. You can avenge them for me. And. Saying this, Yumian paused. I brought these people here because I wanted them to kill the elite skeletons. I let you sink into trouble, which is a huge responsibility. Hearing this, Su Ming's eyes were slightly startled. This guy is really smart. Previously, I specifically posted on the World Channel that there was a treasure chest here, but it was guarded by elite monsters and told people not to come over. In fact, it is to take advantage of people's rebellious psychology. If you say there are no monsters here, only treasure chests, then everyone will think there is a trap here and will not dare to come. He really grasps human nature very well. By the way, I can look for an opportunity to see if I can reap the benefits and seize the treasure chest. A bit of coldness flashed in S eyes. The so-called mantis stalks the cicada, followed by the oriole. This Yumian is Huang Ke. This plan is called killing two birds with one stone. Su Ming looked at and felt a sense of fear in his heart. This Yumian has no elf temperament at all. Anti is like an ordinary decadent man, must have experienced some story. I saw it earlier. You have a treasure map. You have highest pickup priority. So I know that as long as I can rescue you, you can bring the treasure box here. Yumian narrowed his eyes slightly and said, like a man who was deeply scheming. Su Ming looked calm and made a prompt decision. He took out the middle-grade diamond treasure chest directly from his personal space. It's really no problem to escape and save your own life, but without Yumian, I wouldn't be able to get this treasure chest. Therefore, should have a share. The heavy treasure chest fell to the ground, a crystal-clear treasure chest inlaid with various diamonds. Su Ming's movements were very straightforward, without any hesitation. Repay kindness with kindness, repay kindness with kindness. This is Su Ming's temperament. I can't get this treasure chest without you. So, you can pick out a treasure later. Su Ming said in a condensed voice. Well, you are not as shameless as other humans. Yumian looked calm and said calmly on the surface, but in fact, looking at Su Ming's movements, I felt a little sweat in my heart, because the moment he lifted the treasure box, Su Ming suddenly raised his hand. It is difficult not to misunderstand that Su Ming wants to kill people and steal the treasure chest. Fortunately, this swordsman player named Death God is not that evil. I guess I didn't make a mistake, after all. Yu Mian had seen Su Ming kill the skeleton swordsman by himself before. And how he fought vigorously during the siege by the group of people, that figure is really outstanding. Therefore, I didn't dare to underestimate Su Ming's strength, and I was always on guard. Is a mage and is weak in close combat. Once is at this distance and is suddenly attacked by Su Ming, will suffer a great loss. Human. From what brother you said, it sounds like you are not a human being. Su Ming joked that although he knew Yu Mian's true race, he didn't reveal it. Everyone has their own secrets. Yu Mian just smiled. Then, Su Ming's expression turned serious. No matter how many things are opened in the treasure chest, you can only take one. After all, I put in a lot of effort. Looked solemn and said slowly, in his previous life, showed his heart to others, but was betrayed. Therefore, in this life, it is natural to put interests first. Hearing this, Yu Mian nodded. Fair enough actually. After all, Su Ming gave himself the right to choose first. This is actually more precious than other treasures. The diamond treasure chest may only be able to unlock one diamond treasure, but the rest may be platinum grade. The difference in value between platinum and diamonds is like a world of difference. If you can choose first, you will definitely be able to take away the treasure with the highest value. Well, let's unpack it. Said. Su Ming opened the treasure chest directly. Open the diamond treasure chest. Molten alloy, mid-grade diamond forging material. Dragon slaying technique, skill scroll, diamond low-grade sword skill. Vampire potion, platinum top grade. A total of. Looking at these items, Yu Mian frowned. Not a single mage item. The explosion rate of items depends on each person's luck value, because Su Ming's luck attribute was too high. So basically everything that was revealed can be used by Su Ming. Su Ming stared at quietly, waiting for S choice. Thinking about it, this person should choose molten cold alloy. This is a medium-grade diamond forging material. Weapons forged with will at least be of diamond quality. It even reaches the epic level. TSK. Nothing I can use. Yu Mian frowned, was silent for a moment, and finally took a step back. I don't choose. S words made Su Ming's eyes slightly startled. Actually gave up the diamond-level loot? Could this person be a lunatic? Window_tabula equals window_tabula .push, mode, thumbs, feed, 01, container, tabula, below, article, thumbnail, 300x250, placement, below article thumbnail, 300 by 250, target _type, mix. Chapter 76 Vampire Potion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Are you sure you don't want to choose anything? Su Ming asked with a solemn voice. Although there is no skill scroll for your professional equipment, molten alloy is a good thing and can be used to create a diamond-level staff. As soon as these words came out, Yu Mian shook his head slightly. Brother Sha Shen, do you know how much it costs to hire someone to make a diamond-level weapon? When Su Ming heard this, a flash of realization flashed across his eyes. Yes, I really didn't consider this. Su Ming once seized the property of Pan Pan, a prisoner with a reward on his head, and basically had no shortage of money to spend. Is the accumulation of assets completed by plundering players, but for other people, Advent coins and 10,000 clan coins are very precious. The level 3 person is usually equipped with gold-level weapons as standard. There are very few who use platinum weapons. Diamond-level weapons are even more expensive. The equipment on Yu Mian's body was not very good. It can even be said to be a bit poor. Maybe there is no money to build it at all. This half-elf was not accepted by the human race and the elves, and was very poor and decadent. Ranking 3 doesn't mean you have money, it just means you have worked very hard to level up and you are relatively young. An ordinary blacksmith's furnace cannot refine steel of this quality. It can't even be broken down. I need to find a blacksmith with at least level 4 or above to successfully refine it. The price is at least 1 million Advent coins, or tens of thousands of 10,000 race coins. I can't afford it. Smiled bitterly and said. Then if you sell it, you can get a good price. Su Ming continued, however. Yumian shook his head firmly, seemingly determined. No. Then, a flash of light flashed in S eyes. I am a favor. When Su Ming heard this, his eyes were slightly startled. Diamond-level items in exchange for a small favor. If you say this, others will definitely think that is a fool. Are you serious? Su Ming frowned and said in a deep voice. Yes. Yu Mian nodded lightly. You are young, I'm afraid you are not even 20 years old. Being able to fight with so many third-turn masters, it's a lot of fun. I'm afraid you have a 10-star talent, right? Su Ming was silent and did not answer. In the future, you will definitely have a bright future. I think you will be more valuable than a piece of diamond-grade iron in the future. Speaking of this, Yu Mian's eyes showed a bit of sadness. It seems that something is wrong with, it seems that there is something that makes me unable to breathe. Diamond-level items cannot help, only a stronger existence can help, and that incident was so important that I had to use every possible means to find hope. He was even forced to give up diamond-level trophies. Su Ming had endless curiosity. What did this mysterious young man go through back then? The temperament of his body is extremely decadent, and his eyes seem to be extremely sad. No wonder he smells of alcohol. Since you insist, I can't say any more. Su Ming looked cold and had no choice but to accept all the items in the treasure box. Favors can be said to be light or serious. This is the most amazing thing. It may be worthless garbage, or it may be the most valuable treasure in the world. This Yu Mian is simply a born gambler, insisted again and again, but Su Ming could not persuade him anymore. It's impossible for Su Ming to force the treasure onto his opponent. I can only send you one favor, if you take all the treasures yourself. You won't lose anything. This is your choice. Su Ming put everything away and said with a curious expression. What's the use of your favor to me? Yumian remained silent for a while, and finally left slowly. You will know in the future, brother killer god, see you later. Afterwards, left here, and his figure disappeared into the phoenix mist in the sky, gradually disappearing. Su Ming stood there with solemn eyes. Su Ming had never heard of this mysterious young man, but knows that the two will definitely meet again in the future. This man looked decadent, but he had a sense of chicness in his heart. Su Ming quite admired him, heads in another direction and quickly moves away from here. After all, the next few miles are where the gang of people are fighting. If they are not protected, some people will escape here. Su Ming just wants to sort out the treasures now, but he doesn't want to fight with them anymore. The most important thing is that my physical strength has not recovered much now. Coming to a glacier cave, Su Ming took out some firewood from his personal space, then used the dragon scale thorn and laid with the broken sword firewood to light it directly. Take out a few pieces of shaped T-bone steak and grill them on the iron grid. Su Ming's current physique and strength attributes have reached 8-0, this means that his physical fitness and energy consumption are almost 8 times that of ordinary people. After a battle, his stomach is empty, so he naturally needs a meal to fill his stomach. While the beef was still roasting, Su Ming took out the 3 items from the diamond treasure chest. Subconsciously, I wanted to use the sublimation of all things to upgrade, but I found that it didn't work. Only then did he suddenly remember that the treasure box itself had already been sublimated, and items that had been indirectly sublimated once could not be sublimated again. First take out the bottle of medicine, vampire potion, platinum top grade. Level limit, level 35. Introduction, an extremely rare potion with a pure orange-red texture, which seems to have many liquid cells flowing. It requires the joint efforts of many experienced alchemists and wizards, and is brewed with rare materials such as vampire blood, menstrual blood, human blood, high-level beast blood, and celery. Effect: after drinking it, you will become a servant-level vampire within 1 hour, and gain the racial talents of the vampire family, sun-fearing creatures, pale body, and blood-sucking demon. Sun-fearing creatures, the racial talent of the vampire family. In this state, if they are exposed to direct sunlight, their bodies will spontaneously combust and die, and they will be completely rotten. Pale body, the racial talent of the vampire family. In this state, the physical fitness, strength, and agility attributes of the whole body will increase by 2 times. Blood-sucking demon, the racial talent of the vampire clan. In this state, it can absorb the blood of any living creature, quickly heal any injuries, and has an extremely low probability of taking away a random skill from the opponent. Su Ming's eyes lit up. Vampire potion, too powerful. I originally thought that it was just the name of the potion with vampire, and the effect was at most that your attack would have a blood-sucking effect. As a result, I didn't expect that it could actually transform people into vampires for a short time. Then the true value of this potion is definitely more than platinum top grade. If it is auctioned, it will definitely be worth diamond level equipment. Vampires. Among all races, they are extremely strong and ancient. Among all races, they can be auctioned at the forefront. They have a lot of knowledge and extremely strong physical strength, but this race has too few people. This is the only flaw of their race, that is, they cannot reproduce in the normal way, and can only use their blood to transform living people into slaves. So their number is less than that of the undead, elves, and orcs. For ordinary people, vampires are very mysterious. Even whether they really exist is still a question mark. Many people regard this race as a legend. They live in seclusion among various races such as humans and elves for many years. They never go out during the day, and only at night will they wait for an opportunity to move and kill bloodthirstily. Su Ming remembered that in Xianjing City where he was, bloodthirsty murders often occurred, which were very similar to vampires, and had lasted for many years, but the murderer has never been caught. Chapter 77 Diamond Sword Technique, Dragon Slaying Technique. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Su Ming didn't know much about vampires, but he was well informed and knew more than the average person. At least, he knew that vampires were definitely not fictional, but real. This potion could temporarily transform you into a servant-level vampire. It seemed to be of a low level, just the first level in the vampire ranks, but Su Ming knew very well that it was powerful enough. This level would begin to provide the powerful abilities that a vampire should have. Looking through his memories, Su Ming remembered that he had read a book of all races in the dragon government before. It recorded the rough information of the major races in detail. He had also read the records about the vampire clan. This race is divided into several levels, with strict hierarchy. The weakest one is called newborn. It means a vampire that has just been transformed. If the newborn is not talented, or even very weak as a job changer, then he will always stay at the newborn level. Newborns do not have the ability to transform other creatures, and are the weakest vampires. The first level is called servant. Servant vampires have begun to have strong physical strength, rapid speed, and the ability to heal by sucking blood. They can consume essence and blood to transform creatures into newborns. The first level is called noblemen. Vampires at this level have begun to awaken the unique abilities of each vampire clan. Some vampires can read emotions, and some vampires can move instantly. They can consume essence and blood to transform creatures into servants. These three levels are all ordinary vampires. The next ones are the highlight, elders, long-lived people, and superiors. There are a total of 3 levels. Elders, vampires of the previous levels can only survive for a few years, or tens of thousands of years. No matter how much blood you suck, your body will still collapse and die, but starting from the long-lived, vampires can maintain immortality by sucking blood. Among them, the upper ones are the most powerful vampires, and can be called immortal beings. The upper ones can transform into long-lived ones, and long-lived ones can transform into elders. Elders can transform into noble sons, and noble sons can transform into servants. This race is a lower-level transformation system. In other words, the top upper vampires can treat all vampires as slaves. The moment you are transformed, your body will be filled and transformed by vampire cells. It can cure all cancers, injuries, and illnesses. Therefore, with such a bottle of potion, it means that Su Ming can recover from the near-death state to the peak in an instant. This is equivalent to a bottle of life-saving potion, and it only lasts for an hour. There is no need to degenerate into a demon who fears the sun forever. This is simply a huge surprise. Su Ming carefully put the bottle of potion into his personal space. If one day he has to use it, he will not hesitate. Vampires are one of the most terrifying races. Any vampire is like a boss, because they are creatures from heaven. There have been many myths and legends about them before the awakening day. Then, Su Ming took out the alloy steel. It is extremely heavy. This piece of steel looks very strange. There are 2 colors of lines on it. there is dark red, like flowing lava, there is ice color, like sea waves. The reflection of the two colors sets off the extraordinariness of this steel. Holding it for a while, it is extremely hot, and then it is cold to the bone, melting cold alloy, forging material, middle diamond grade, extremely high-grade forging material, which can only be condensed in the center of the glacier. The quality of equipment made with it will definitely not be lower than diamond grade. Melting stone, weapons made with this steel can cause fire damage. Cold stone, weapons made with this steel can cause ice damage. Hidden effect, made by an extremely experienced high-level blacksmith, it is possible to combine two properties and cast a hidden property. Su Ming's eyes were solemn. This steel is a bit strong. I wonder if it can be melted together with the dragon-inlaid broken sword. The effect must be very strong. But when he thought about it, he spent a lot of money again. Su Ming felt a pain in his heart. He felt that he was quite rich in the last second, but the subsequent expenses directly spent more than half of it. In fact, this is also Su Ming's ignorance of his blessings. He had to make diamond-grade weapons when he reached the 4th or 5th level, so of course the cost was high. If he reached the 4th or 5th level, then using diamond-grade weapons was the norm. The materials from the beasts of that period could easily support the cost if sold. Su Ming spent money across borders, so of course the cost was high. He put the steel in his pocket, then, he immediately took out a skill scroll. On the old yellow cover, there were two big words, Dragon Slaying Technique. Su Ming immediately scanned the information of this scroll, Dragon Slaying Technique, Sword Skill Scroll, Diamond Lower Grade, Level Limit, Level 40, The dragon strokes its beard and grieves, take my sinking sword to suppress the evil insects. Effect, a sword is slashed out, with golden sword energy, high armor-piercing damage, and extremely powerful. Affix Ji Jiao Jin, facing a large monster, the power of this move will be increased. The larger the enemy, the greater the power. Upper limit, 1000%. Su Ming's eyes were slightly surprised. This sword technique actually has an affix effect. Skills rarely have affix effects. Generally, only equipment has affix effects. Skills with affixes are all extremely powerful and special. Su Ming immediately crushed it and learned this skill thoroughly. Suddenly, countless secrets poured into his heart. Su Ming mastered it directly. He has the original sword body, which can break through the level limit and learn directly. I have a diamond level active sword technique. This will be Su Ming's strongest active sword technique skill at present. He walked out of the ice cave and activated a spiritual blade. He cut off a piece of ice on the ground and condensed it into an ice sword. Then, he held the sword and suddenly raised his hand to slash. Swish. Boom. A very heavy and loud noise shook the sky. The thick fog in the sky sank a few meters with this sword. A terrifying golden sword light swung out from in front of him. It formed a magnificent semicircular golden light. It directly covered an area of dozens of meters. The sword energy was so hot that it evaporated a lot of the surrounding thick fog. After a long time, it dissipated. Su Ming looked carefully. The ice sword in his hand was broken and disintegrated because it could not withstand the domineering sword energy of this sword, and melted into water. Horrible, too terrifying. With this sword, I might really be able to kill a dragon with ease. He murmured. At this time, he smelled a burst of meat. His T-bone steak was ready. He quickly returned to the cave and scanned it. Grilled T-bone steak, rare, low bronze. The skin is crispy and the meat is juicy inside, which is extremely delicious. The protein contained in it is twice that of beef, which can replenish the energy needed for a normal day. After eating, increase strength by 10 points, which lasts for 10 minutes. The same food cannot be repeated. Su Ming blinked, and didn't expect it to have a grade. This is a piece of the most ordinary steak, but he roasted it into a low bronze delicacy. It seems that his cooking skills are getting better and better. Chapter 78. It's time for me to level up. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 78. It's time to level up. The most important thing is that Su Ming grilled a steak like this. It is definitely enough to replenish his daily consumption. He only added the most basic seasonings such as cumin, chili powder, and coarse salt to create such deliciousness. This is inseparable from his precise control of the heat. many people believe that barbecue must be oiled to lock the internal juice, otherwise it will be very dry. But Su Ming is very experienced. He uses slow fire to bake the meat until it is crispy, so that the internal gravy cannot escape. It is almost stewed with the meat's own juice. Moreover, the meat has natural meat fat inside, which can lock the gravy by itself, so there is no need to oil it at all. With this almost purely natural cooking method, Su Ming can make any food delicious and never let his tongue suffer. He immediately ate it with relish. Soon, he ate all the steak and fully restored his physical strength to the peak state. Then Su Ming took some equipment. Before, Su Ming killed 2 third-level players. One was the flame boxer, Zhe Shuhong, the other was a male enchanter. These 2 people were previously killed by Su Ming with a sword after charging. He got all the belongings of these 2 people, and he also upgraded 2 levels in a row, reaching level 26. This is not Su Ming's fault. They are looking for death. That male enchanter doesn't look like he has much money, but Zhe Shuhong is really worth a lot of money. This woman has a slender figure and a charming face. I don't know how she got the money. Maybe she sold her ass. These have nothing to do with Su Ming. As long as it is in his pocket, it is his stuff. Her pair of boxing gloves were platinum-grade weapons. No wonder they looked like flowing flames. So gorgeous. Su Ming took out all their things and placed them in front of him. He used sublimation of all things to upgrade them. Sublimation success. Sublimation success. Sublimation success. The beautiful and pleasant voice made Su Ming grin uncontrollably. The value has increased several times. If these things are sold, they will be worth at least tens of thousands of advent coins. Although these 2 people are not like Ding Pan, who kills people for money, but these 2 are at least the 3rd level, and their behavior is not upright. They should have done a lot of killing people for money. It's just not as extreme as Ding Pan. The supplies they have are just a little less than Ding Pan, but they are still very good. Su Ming sorted them out a bit and picked out a few better trophies. Flame Flow Brass Knuckles, Diamond Grade, Equipment Conditions, Boxing Proficient Professional, Introduction, Extremely Powerful Fist Glove Weapon, forged from pure flames and a variety of materials. If you are not a boxing professional, you will be burned if you hold this pair of brass knuckles. Affix Pure Flame, all boxing attacks can be converted into fire attribute damage. Affix Flame Flow, the range and power of all your fire attacks are greatly improved. Upgraded from the flame boxing gloves, it becomes a diamond grade equipment. The effect is very strong, and all boxing attacks can be converted into fire attributes. It is equivalent to being able to convert physical attacks into burning attacks. This can break through most armor defenses. Take the double sword skeleton for example. His double swords are violent and continuous, and he keeps attacking. It can also dismantle and block many of Su Ming's sword moves, convert part of the players. Attack into an invalid attack. Su Ming also spent some effort to kill it, but if the effect of this brass knuckle is used, it will be different. Convert physical attacks into flame attacks, and you can directly break through the sword blocking of the double sword skeleton. For example, Su Ming's swordsmanship determines whether it can cut through the enemy's armor and bones by its sharpness. And if the sword damage is converted into flames, then there is no need to worry about the sharpness of this sword, because all the power of the sword will be converted into high temperature to burn the enemy. The more powerful your attack is, the higher the temperature and more violent the condensed flames. No matter how fast the sword blocks, it can't stop the pervasive flames. This weapon is really powerful. It's a pity that Su Ming can't use it. It has no restrictions and can only be equipped by boxing professionals. Sword skills cannot be converted either, only boxing skills can be converted, so Su Ming can only use an analogy to prove the strength of this boxing glove. Either decompose it into materials, or sell it. This is a diamond quality boxing glove after all. In the market, it is easy to sell it for 8 million advent coins, or even tens of millions. But Su Ming prefers to exchange it directly for Wanzu coins. It should be able to exchange for about 700,000 or 800,000, because Wanzu coins are more precious and versatile. The Advent Coin Store is indeed a convenient store with a lot of things in it, but compared to the Wanzu Store, it is not good enough. The Wanzu Store can buy everything. Bloodline, talent, etc. are almost only available in the Wanjie Store. In the Advent Store, under normal circumstances, you can only buy some daily necessities, healing potions, food, sports cars, houses, and some ordinary equipment, of course. There are occasional auctions in the Advent shop. The Advent auction is a human race trade fair held every 3 months. Some of the items in the hands of players will be put on the shelves, and some rare items can be provided in an unconventional way. It supports Advent coin transactions, and of course, it also supports Wanzu coin transactions, but the Advent auction is not held every day, and even in the auctions held by the Advent shop, many rare items still only support Wanzu coin transactions. So compared with the Wanzu Mall, the Advent shop is still like a small store. In theory, Advent coins can be exchanged for Wanzu coins at a ratio of 10 to 1, but in reality, it is difficult for you to find someone willing to exchange with you. After all, Wanzu coins are more liquid and more rare, and Advent coins are only circulated within the human race, so it is very difficult to exchange. The best choice is to sell the rare equipment directly in the form of Wanzu coin transactions. If this boxing glove is directly listed on the exchange, the price of 700,000 Wanzu coins seems a bit low. But the price of 1 million Wanzu coins is too high. Not everyone will buy it, and it may not be sold for a long time. Su Ming fell into deep thought. He needed money now and could not afford to waste time. He needed to sell it as soon as possible. But the price was too low, and he felt that he was losing money, and there seemed to be only one way to sell it quickly without losing money, that is to participate in the auction house. The auction is a bidding system, and the highest bidder wins, so an item can almost certainly be sold at its ultimate value, as long as the item is good enough, and the speed of selling is also very fast. After Su Ming made up his mind, he put away the boxing glove. He planned to take the epic item from this sub-item. He would go back to Blue Star and attend an auction. In addition to this boxing glove, he also sublimated a lot of equipment that could be sold at a high price. They were all trophies from dead people. Selling them later would definitely make Su Ming rich, and he would never be short of money in a short time. Kaka. Suddenly, the cave shook. Several huge skeleton monsters came to the door. The friction sound of their jaws was creaking, as if they couldn't wait to rush in and kill. It seemed that they rushed over from miles away because they smelled the burnt aroma of beef. Just right, it's time to level up. Su Ming smiled calmly and pulled out his weapon directly. Chapter 79, Stand Up to the Hammer. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Su Ming had not leveled up much before, and he put equipment farming as the first priority. He has been fighting in the D-level sub-level for a long time now, and he can clearly feel the disadvantages of low level. When low-level players challenge high-level monsters, it is not as simple as simply suppressing their attributes. You will feel a pure and real sense of pressure. The power brought by the rules of this world suppresses all job changers who dare to challenge higher levels. This will make you breathless. Even if your skill level is very high and you can fight higher levels, your body and mind will not be able to support it for a long time, so Su Ming needs to raise his level as soon as possible to a level suitable for this sub-level. In this way, he can continue to fight. There is still a long way to the approximate area where the epic props are located. There is a dark blue ice cave there, which is different from the color of the surrounding ice. It is said that it seems to be still underwater. This reminds Su Ming of the ancient underwater city in mythology, Atlantis. It will take more than a week to get there. Su Ming is not very clear about the specific information of the epic item. After all, he has occasionally heard of it in his previous life, but he only needs to reach the general area. After all, epic items, it is conceivable that there will be strange phenomena in the world at the moment of their appearance. As long as the distance is not very far, you should be able to feel it. Su Ming needs to make sure that his level is enough to meet the next challenge. At the very least, he must be able to take the treasure alive. This is also the most fundamental purpose of his entering this vice. His eyes are solemn, looking at the 3 elite skeletons rushing outside the cave. They all have green eyes, which flash with ghost-like light. Their dry hair is like straw, their bodies are covered with rotten flesh like dry ash, and tattered battle robes like rotten cotton. Their weapons are also all rusted. It is conceivable how long they have been frozen. Each skeleton holds a heavy and huge weapon in its hand. Standing in the center, the most burly skeleton monster is more than 3 meters tall, with thighs as thick as buckets. It can step on the ice to make pits when walking on it. It leaves many pits along the way. It holds a giant chain hammer in its hand, which can easily smash a whole person into meat paste. It is covered with layers of heavy steel helmets. Its burly figure, luxurious equipment, And attributes are the highest among the three-headed skeleton monsters. His physical attribute is as high as 650 points. It is so terrifying. Su Ming has no doubt that this burly skeleton monster can easily kill the second-level giant python he once met. Its chain hammer only needs one strike to smash the second-level giant python. It is not enough to be horrible with just this skeleton monster. The problem is that the other two skeleton monsters beside it are not to be underestimated. They are all elite monsters. The two skeletons on the left and right each hold an ancient war hammer. They are more than 2 meters tall and strong, with big arms and waists, and look like giants. These three skeleton monsters are all third level. Elite monsters usually appear alone. Elite monsters that appear in groups are really rare. Fortunately, Su Ming's physical condition has recovered to its peak, otherwise he would not be able to run. The Warhammer skeletons on the left and right suddenly came out first. They jumped up, cracked the ice surface, and rushed over close to the ground. The huge hammer head swung over. Su Ming remained calm and scanned the information of the two of them at this moment. Left and right Guardian Warhammer Undead, Elite Monster, Bloodline, Undead, Level 33. Strength, 424, Constitution, 302, Agility, 108, Spirit, 10, Luck, 8, Talent, Immortality. After their death, their bones will gradually recondense and revive, unless they are severely injured again during the resurrection process. Skills, Twin Warlords. These two Warhammer skeleton monsters are twins. They can telepathically and have perfect cooperation on the battlefield. Corpse Poison Hammer Wave. The scars caused by their warhammers will immediately rot and produce corpse poison to attack the heart. Furious Hammer Method. After they are injured, their offensive power will skyrocket. Su Ming's eyes were solemn, and he immediately used his full energy to deal with it. These two skeletons are weaker than the burly skeleton in the center, but they are still very strong. He directly pulled out the dragon-broken sword, then he raised his left hand and held the Shadow Stream long sword in his hand. Clang! The black-edged sword behind him flew out of its sheath and slashed out diagonally. The spirit sword was also completely condensed. Su Ming controlled 4 swords at the same time to deal with the two skeletons. 2 swords for each monster. He really respected them. Swish, swish, swish. The sword blades flying in the air were like annoying wingmen, slashing the bodies of the two hammer skeletons crazily, constantly reducing their health points. Although their physical attributes were very high and their hammers were very large, they did not move fast. In the time it took them to swing a hammer, Su Ming could have slashed several swords. He hooked his fingers, and the flying sword blades slashed crazily. Whoosh! Suddenly, the spirit sword spun and stabbed at an incredible angle, hitting the skeleton on the left in time. It penetrated its left eye socket directly. The eyeball was completely blown up. The two Warhammer skeletons let out a shrill and angry roar at the same time. Because of telepathy, all the pain was also felt. Spirit Sword Proficiency plus 1242, promoted to Gold Middle Grade. Mind Condensed Blade, Gold Middle Grade, condensed into a blade, sharp and slashing the enemy. The appearance of the blade changed, as if burning with a layer of pale white mind. It looked more powerful. When flying with the mind, it would leave a trace of mind in the air, which was very handsome. The two skeletons were furious and increased the power of the hammer. They all moved much faster. Bang bang! The two huge hammers pressed down on Su Ming's body. The violent wind pressure made Su Ming's hair flutter. These two hammers, plus inertia, weigh at least 1,000 pounds, or even 10,000 pounds. Even if Su Ming has 80 points of physical attributes, he can't fight hard. Otherwise, there will definitely be no bones left. The body will immediately turn into ketchup, and the rarest one. Su Ming immediately changed his posture, crossed his swords, and at the same time, the two swords suspended in the air suddenly flew upside down, formed a wonderful overlapping sword posture. The 4 swords crossed, like a weird bracket, but with the most perfect mechanical features, forced to resist the two giant hammers. But Su Ming also felt his hands shook violently, and his wrists were numb. He had completely removed all the energy, but his head was still buzzing. At this moment, a somewhat crazy smile flashed across his eyes. It's not that scary.